and I thought this was really neat. Let's talk about the shock.
Yes, shock doctrine.
Yeah.
Naomi Klein, great book. That was a real eye opener for me. Talking about how it was the first book that I read that really talked about a man named Milton Friedman. Now he is a economics professor based out of University of Chicago, and
Freeman theory,
he
right? That's the Freeman theory, right?
sure yeah. We call his theories neoliberal economics,
Okay.
and those are defined by privatization, cutting taxes on the rich and corporations, deregulation. So those are some of the biggest markers. And, it's just such a funny coincidence to me that Friedman's theories benefited the rich and corporations so much and are bad for the majority of the public. Friedman was writing at a time he was writing in the 40s and 50s when he was first coming up with his ideas. And he was kind of a reaction to another economist called Maynard Keynes, Lord Keynes from England, who believed in using the power of the government to help people in economic crises. And this was kind of the birth of some social democratic policies. That's how we got Social Security. That's how we got SNAP. That's how we got Medicaid and Medicare, where the idea that the government could pool its resources to help the public. And that's called socialism. But Friedman hated socialism. He was terrified of it. And he, like others on the right, like someone like Ayn Rand, knew that he could have a real successful career advocating for the rich, advocating on their behalf, and making it sound like what they called it during the Reagan and Thatcher era, when they were really grabbing onto his ideas hard. They called it, they said, there is no alternative. Like, this is the only thing we can do to save our economy when things get bad, when we have something like stagflation, a period in the 70s when wages were stagnating and inflation was going up at the same time, something we may be getting very soon again here in this country. So reading Shock Doctrine is where I learned about Milton Friedman and how his ideas are. One of his things that he loved to talk about is you want to use every kind of catastrophe. You want to be ready with your stuff for the next bad thing that comes along. So you can whip it out and say, here's what we should do, and advocate your ideas. And shock doctrine, she talks about shock therapy and uses it as a metaphor. It's the same idea, where you shock a patient and then you come in and try and put something on top while they're still in shock to retrain their brain. They do the same thing with the economy. In a situation like Hurricane Katrina, where New Orleans was wiped out, they come in and they're like, we should privatize the school system. Well, it's like, what's that got to do with anything? No, but it's privatizing the school system makes it easier for the wealthy to indoctrinate students and put in the kind of education system that creates workers rather than thinkers. And they did all that when Katrina, the whole community was just reeling. People weren't even all back yet. And they were making huge changes to the school system and deregulating and privatizing things. It's just those privatization, like what they did here in Chicago with the parking spaces. They sold all parking meters to a company in Dubai. And again, it's the profit motive. So that company in Dubai is expecting to constantly have growth in its profits over time. Now, where are they getting those profits? From every person who parks in Chicago. They privatize. So every time you feed the meter, it's not going to Chicago like it used to. It's tax base. It's going to a company in Dubai. It's leaving the country. Money leaving the country for the enrichment of some very wealthy people.
That would
Those are some
explain.
very damaging economic ideas.